See how good John's reversing is. We're going to pull those doors open, but of course we've got animals in there already.
Yeah, don't let them out.
Right. That'd be a bad day.
We let all of them out. The fifth one you've got to worry about. Mad, he is. Mad, mad, mad.
Come on, cowsies.
Come on, come on, come on.
He is an absolute monster, that.
3 less males than me.
What are we saying then, John?
6, 7.
A 6-7.
The last one was 6, 7 as well. I got it wrong.
The last one was 6-7, not 7-6.
Yes.
Look at that beautiful animal, look at him.
Right.
Right.
Next. Oh, this is a big one. Come on.
I want to be getting
638. Snot sample. Right guys, welcome back to the channel. You've seen all that going on this morning, so I'll explain a bit about what's going on. We've loaded up 6 fat bullocks to go off to slaughter this morning, along with some from the home farm. We're now going to weigh the rest of the brown cattle because they're going on to a different set of silage today, so I want to weigh them as they change their diet. So we'll get these weighed. Round you go, cows. There you go. Come on. Come on in. We've also got the foot score cattle this morning. That's a stabiliser society thing. So we've got a chart that we've got to pick a score off of. Right, we finished weighing cattle and scoring their feet. They're all back in the shed now. John's gone off to Hatherley with the fat cattle. He'll be an hour or so before he's back. Phil's just going to feed the browns in the shed. I'm going to go move the fences on the Techno Greys, and we should both be back in the yard for coffee, with any luck. So guys, these are the blue group of cattle. They're on like a multi-species sward. It's like clover and bits of chicory, plantain, I think, and various different varieties of grass. So I thought it was interesting to come up here and see these guys because we had that animal with bloat yesterday, which you would have seen in the last video. That was on the green platform. But really, if we were going to get an animal with bloat, this is where we would expect to get it, in a field that has, you know, a high population of clover in the sward. So these guys seem quite happy. They're all up here in the corner, just sunbathing, hopefully growing. We'll leave them to it. So today we've got a pretty busy day. I got the oats to spread with single top before we do anything else, because the spreader is still on the tractor and I want to finish that before I wash it off. And then we got to spray one field of corn that didn't get sprayed last time because it was so wet. So I have to swap the spreader off, put the sprayer on, go spraying, and then after that I got to put the spreader back on to either put some MOP on the wheat or top up the silage ground again. They are talking about showers sometime this week, so you know, fingers crossed we get them because we really need it. That's the silage ground on the bank there for these guys for this year, and there's just absolutely nothing there at the minute. You know, it's the same everywhere, but we put enough fertilizer out that if we get a rain we'll have some serious grass growth, so hopefully we get a rain. Right chaps, I'll see you all later. Head back for coffee time. As it's Monday, we do our grass check plot experiment on a Monday. We've got to go and do a bit of grass harvesting, and it's finally dry enough to use this, which is the Howdruck plot harvester. use it for cutting grass samples, so we'll get up to the field and show you how that works. Right, so the how runs and drives a bit like a forager. It's on a hydrostatic lever over here. The further you push or pull it, the faster you go. And then we've got a road gear here somewhere, which is that one. So down here we've got a panel of switches, so put it into road gear. We should go a bit faster. Right, now we're moving. It's an incredibly unstable piece of kit to drive, or so it feels. We've got a little hand throttle here on the side, so we can go faster and slower on that one as well. But basically, it's like a grass combine. Put your header on the front with a reel, cuts some grass, pulls it in. It's then got an onboard weighing system, so you can weigh all the grass in the cab, and then you can also produce a sample through this little elevator into the cab as well, or you can spit it out the side on like a feed conveyor. So it's a bit of a noisy old beast, but you get the picture. There's a combine head on the front. Here's the controls here, so that's the head up and down, that's the reel up and down. I'm just going to tidy up this bit here where there's a lump of grass, but it basically goes in the front on the belt through there, and then in the back behind there's like a weight frame on like a feed auger belt, and that weighs it up here, and then you can discharge it off the sides, and then you can also take a sample in here off this belt, and on this scale here you can weigh your samples. So that comes up on this screen, so if I put my hand on the weight, the minute you see there's your sample weight. But for the minute I'm just going to clear up this little bit of grass I've left here and chuck it up against the fence. To start the thing up, press the left pedal. Lower the head down, or lower the reel down I should say, to the head. Lower the head down to the floor, drive it forward slightly. You see it takes a fair bit of grass. I'll turn the revs up. You need a fair bit of grass going in there before you actually get anything going up the belt. Come to the end of your run, lift your head up like you would do on a forager, slow your speed down a bit, put it in reverse, and what you can do is turn the head off, gets rid of a lot of noise. There's a little button on the back of the joystick down here which runs the conveyor. You can choose which way the conveyor goes down here. So I better get it the right way here a minute. I think I want it that way. Right. So see, we're now displaying nothing, so we've emptied the conveyor. So that's ideal. You can see the little strips there that we've cut. And then what we have here is our grass check experiment. So we cut 3 strips every week, and then there's 3 weeks worth of strips, so it takes, every 3 weeks we cut the whole lot, if that makes sense. So like today we've cut plots 1, 2 and 3 for example. Next week we'll cut plots 2, 3 and 4, 4, 5 and 6, and the week after 7, 8 and 9, and then you go back to the start. So you're cutting 1 strip once every 3 weeks, if that makes sense. But I'll just get you out and show you around the machine a bit. The one downside to this machine is the steps are vertical. Not the nicest thing to get in and out of. Radiator on the side. Panels snap back into place. So it runs on quite little tyres, and a lot of the weight of the machine is out the front here on the header. So it's got a cutter bar, like a combine, knife section, the reel with the brush on. The bristles could do with being a bit longer, but then they end up getting cut by the knives. Feed belt into the back of the machine. I'll take you around the other side. In there's an auger, you can see it spinning around. that will discharge your sample onto that conveyor belt if you want it. That conveyor belt always runs in reverse until you want to take a sample, and then whoever's in the sample chair hits this foot switch, and that changes the direction of the belt, and then you can put your sample bag on the little pegs, take a sample like that. But yeah, nice little machine to use. It just feels horribly unstable when you're driving. I better take it back to the yard now. I've got a load of fertilizer to go and do, and I want to try and do some spraying this afternoon as well, so we'll take this one back. Right guys, hope you enjoy that little bit of the house job there. Something quite different, don't see them many places. So this afternoon I've got one field of corn left to spray that didn't get sprayed when the rest of it did because it was so wet. So I'm just setting this tractor up now for the sprayer. We've got to put this hitch in, it's called a wagon hitch. It sits in this frame here, and then we have a steering rod on there as well which connects to this one. So that's the first thing I've got to do. That one goes in like that. I can't believe I've left the cap off the brakes. All that full of rubbish. That's that one securely in place now. Just need to get the steering rod for that. Steering rod goes in like that way. What we do is undo this bolt. Just let him down so he's level. About there. Tighten him up again. This is held on with a little circlip. So you've got to unspring him that way, pull him out. This goes on with a bit of a thud, like so. And then you feed this back in, clip that back on. So that's him on. So the rest of it's pretty straightforward. You've got isobus, return, that's your return, oil pipe, brakes, electrics, and power shaft. Remembering to take off the jack. Right, that's us set up nearly. What we do now is lower the link arms, make sure they don't hit anything. And then what I'm going to do is run the clean water that's in the clean water tank out to the sprayer and put it through the arms. They're all clean anyway. Because I've got a couple nozzles I want to change. I've got a load of new ones now. So we'll put some new nozzles in. Put my spanner away. Right, so it's recognised that the sprayer's hooked on. There it is on the screen. Got the joystick here as well. So we'll get outside and unfold it. So guys, a bit of bad news. Hooked the sprayer up to the 155 just now, and it's got an oil leak, and it's actually pretty bad. It's got an oil leak in the transmission, so we've had someone out to look at it. It needs a new gasket in the gearbox, so that's going to have to go away and be mended, which is a right pain in the backside this time of year. So we've got the 130 on the sprayer. When we bought that, we had it all fitted out so that if it ever needed to do the spraying, it could. So this will be the first time it's been used on that, so fingers crossed it goes all right. Just come down to the field. This field here is called Poor Field, which is a very relevant name because it's been sat so wet all winter. It's only just dry now, sort of end of April, I've been able to spread the fertilizer and do the spraying. If you look across, it doesn't look too bad. It looks quite green. An awful lot of the greenery you can see is grass, and one thing you don't want in a cereal crop is grass. So we're spraying the herbicide to try and knock all the grass out, which if we do, is going to make the field look even worse. But what can you do? It was just horrible timing last year for the weather of drilling it. It sat wet all winter with nothing on it, so all the soil's washed off. Got a big gully in the middle where the water collects. and yeah, it's had it all against it. So we'll do our best to see what we can salvage, and see how we get on with the sprayer. Been having a bit of trouble with one of my nozzles here because the ground is so rough. I keep just clipping the end of it here, and he turns. It's the only one I'm doing it on. I don't know why, but you see how dry the weather's been. Hang on, got a smudge on the screen. See how dry the weather's been. All the single top I spread the other day still sat here on the ground, which is obviously not a lot of good. We really need a rain this week if we can get it. I'm finding it a lot nicer. I'm spreading a couple of kilometres an hour slower than I normally would, just because it's so rough. It's actually a lot easier to keep an eye on everything. So I might do that going forward all the time. But I've got the really bad end of the field left to do here now, so wish me luck. Oh, just finished spraying in the 130. She actually did a very nice job. Wouldn't mind spraying in that tractor all the time. Just grabbing my sunglasses out of my tractor. You can see underneath there, there's a pool of oil. It's bad news. Bad news, John.
What's happened?
Transmission gasket.
You gonna split it?
Yes.
Is he gonna be split?
I don't know, they'll either take it out from underneath, got to drop the gearbox out. So he's got to go to Mason's. It's only done 2,000 hours. I am somewhat gutted that that tractor's broken down. There's got a fair lot of fertilizer spreading to do. Just have to do it with the 130, I suppose. That's what it was spec'd for, so I could do it all if we couldn't do it with a 155 for any reason. Shut the doorway before going home. Yeah, the tractor's 4 years old and it's done 2,300 hours, so why it's decided to chuck its transmission gasket, I don't know. Apparently it is a common thing with those tractors on the direct drive gearbox, but there you are. I didn't know that. But anyway, can't do a lot about it, so I'm going to go home and have some tea. Thank you guys for watching. If you'd like to follow me on any of my social medias, I'll put the Snapchat and Instagram link on the bottom of the screen there now. Give the video a thumbs up if you could be a legend, and see you guys on another video very soon. I'm gonna go home and cry. Cheerio.